All right, guys, good morning. We're back out here at the Mint Hill Shoe Market to do another first run, and it is infested with slugs out here. It is absolutely disgusting. If anybody knows a way to get the slugs off the porch, let me know. Do I just sprinkle salt, you know, the snow salt out here? I don't know. It's a little bit gross. Anyway, first run of the On Cloudeclipse, and whenever I finish a big training block or finish a big race, and today was supposed to be my first day back running. I actually relapsed yesterday and ran in the Skyward X because it showed up at my door. But I always like having one shoe waiting that I know is going to be exciting to run in or get me amped to run after a race. So I've had the Cloudeclipse for a few weeks, and this was the shoe that I knew after the marathon I'd have it there rocking and ready to go to get some miles in. So this is a shoe that competes with those three that we have up on the top here. So it's in the segment that's designed to take the burden off your legs, make it super easy to run. And my current favorite has been what's right there on the left. My finger is in the wrong place. New Balance SC Trainer V2. Nice and soft foam here. It's got a really nice rocker, but then you get the carbon fiber plate to give it some pop. And then yesterday, a recent one that came into the office, Hoka Skyward X. I think this might give the SC Trainer V2 a little bit of run for the money there. It is heavier, but a ton of bounce. It's like running in moon boots or something. It's crazy. And then of course we have the ASICS Super Blast, which I think I'm obligated in my contract as someone who talks about running shoes on YouTube to mention the Super Blast in at least 5 out of every 7 videos I do. So our quota is getting there because I did it also in the Daily Trainer video today. So we got the On Cloudeclipse. On is one of the first running brands that I really started putting a lot of miles in with that Cloud Stratus 2 and then the Cloudmonster. That's my everyday running shoe. So I'm excited to see what the Cloudeclipse has to offer. Let's get into it, baby. So as I mentioned in my favorite Daily Trainer video that I posted earlier, my current philosophy on what we should be running in every day is that we should run in what supports our training goals. And so if your training goal is to make it harder for yourself to run, to increase the chance of injury, then yes, you should be running in a barefoot shoe or a lower stack shoe. And I'm not saying that lower stack shoes, barefoot shoes increase the chance of injury, but what I am saying is the inverse is true, that these higher stack shoes, more protective shoes like the New Balance SC Trainer V2 make it a lot easier on our muscles and tendons to run. And so look at this Cloudeclipse. We got the Fade Sand colorway. And so that's what the Cloudeclipse and all these other shoes I have up here are designed to do. And look at this. Boom. Man, we got the smoky. This is a Smokey Robinson colorway. I like it. A little bit darker. They came in that launch colorway with the orange. This has those orange accents, but a little bit of brown, almost like sand, as I said in the description there. But as I was saying, this type of shoe, as you can see from the gigantic stack height and the rocker, is designed, let's brighten it up just one touch, boom, is designed to make it easier for us to run. And so with my style of training being high mileage, trying to build that aerobic base, I prioritize staying healthy and running as many miles as possible to stimulate those aerobic developments, which are stronger heart, sending more blood flow to the legs, quicker recovery. And I want to do all that with these shoes that take the burden off the muscles so that I can go and slam some harder workouts. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing this next training cycle, is keeping the high volume, adding in some more quality workouts. And so shoes like the Cloudeclipse, that's really what these are going to be best for. Not necessarily relaxed running every day, but everyday miles where you want to feel a little bit more protected. And so this guy has a big stack of foam. I think we are up near 40 millimeters. Let's check the Supwell shoe database. Guys, you can see all of the running shoes on the market on the Supwell shoe database. I'm going to add some search functionality, but for now, did you know you can search by using the Google search bar? So specs on this guy, we got 40 millimeters in the heel, so right up there with the SC Trainer V2, just a touch lower than the Super Blast, which is at 45, so 40 millimeters, then it's 34 or 35 up in the forefoot, depending on where you measure, for that 5 to 6 millimeter drop. So a nice moderate drop, similar to Hoka Mach 6, and also similar to the Skyward X, which should make this friendly for a bunch of different running styles and foot paces. And then the type of foam here, they call it the Helion Super Foam. You guys know I don't like the marketing jargon. This is not, and I also don't like that word, super. And that's where it loses its meaning, because On is calling this a super foam. When we think of super foam, we think of PIBA. This is an EVA and olefin blend, so it's going to ride a little bit more like a standard training foam than something like the PIBA in the Hoka Skyward X, or even like the fuel cell in the SC Trainer V2. But the foam type, the compound, isn't the magic of the Cloudeclipse. It is these phase units, or the CloudTec phase lack thereof units. It's empty. And so this is the new style of pods from On. They actually didn't use them in the Cloudmonster Hyper. They used the standard, the old style pods, same as the Cloudmonster standard. But this guy has these domino effect pods where they collapse like those dominoes collapsing and are supposed to give this nice rockin' and rollin' sensation. So this is my first time trying a shoe with the CloudTec phase. I have not tried the Cloud Surfer yet. Let me know if that's one you're interested in me bringing on the channel. Should I get the Cloud Surfer? Should I test that shoe? But it'll be cool to test the Cloud phase in here. And then on the bottom here, we got the Speedboard. And so On used to put the Speedboard up close to the foot to stabilize the foam. On this guy, we have it on the bottom of the foot, still to stabilize the foam, but hopefully gives it a little bit of a more forgiving underfoot sensation. I never had a problem with the Speedboard near the foot and the Cloud Stratus and the Cloudmonster, but I was also running a lot of faster miles, especially in the Cloud Stratus. So with this being maybe a little bit more of that relaxed shoe, I think the Speedboard on the bottom is going to be a nice touch. And then we got good rubber coverage, forefoot and rear. They extend it all the way up the back, which is nice. Let's compare it to SC Trainer V2 here. Similar amount, but this rubber on the SC Trainer V2 did not give me great durability through about 100 miles. It's already starting to wear pretty hard. My guy Vinny B did tell me, though, he got 450 from the SC Trainer V2. So this is a shoe where your foot strike and how you run is really going to influence the durability you get. But Cloudeclipse here, decently thick layer. If you can see on the inside here, we do get a nice little bit of height on this rubber, which is nice. And it feels, to the touch, pretty sticky. It might rain out here. It's not raining right now, but if it rains, that'll be good because we can test it. And then, of course, design of this thing, that's one of On's specialties. So it looks nearly identical to the Cloud Surfer, and they're going with two different design languages. So the Cloudeclipse and Surfer look one way with these phase and these different touches on the upper, and then Cloudmonster Hyper, which I'll grab in a second, has that old style of On's design language. Now, I brought the Cloudmonster Hyper out here to do a little bit of a comparison, and so you can see I'll probably do a full comparison between these two. But Cloudmonster Hyper, it's got the PIBA up in the forefoot. This is more of that speed training shoe, versus Cloudeclipse is more of that mileage eater. And so if we think about the Hoka lineup, Skyward X would be the competitor here to the Cloudeclipse, and then the Mach X, which I don't have, would be the competitor to the Cloudmonster Hyper here. Hoka is also coming out with a new shoe this year called the Sky Flow, which is supposed to be a Bondi that's a little bit better for people who don't think the Bondi is a real running shoe. So maybe Skyward X does go up more against the Cloudmonster Hyper here. But my whole point of saying this is the market is getting super fragmented. It's really about how these shoes ride and what they're going to be best for. And positioned by On, this is that mileage building shoe with a little bit more comfort and a softer underfoot feel than some of those other offerings. So I'm excited to get some miles in this thing. We're still in recovery mode, so it's going to be nice and smooth today. But before we do that, let's throw this on the scale and see if these CloudTec holes lighten up the midsole a little bit compared to the competitors. All right, guys, so throwing the On Cloudeclipse on the scale here, we are coming in at exactly 301 grams. I believe that's a little bit heavier than the Cloudmonster Hyper, which again is more of that speed-oriented cushion shoe. So yeah, this guy's 277 grams. And I actually brought out, instead of doing these guys, which maybe I'll do too, but I wanted to bring out some of these more traditional max cushion shoes that also go against the Cloudeclipse. And so as I'm throwing this Invincible 3 on here, one of the issues On has had is that some of their older shoes, even the Cloud Stratus 2, which I loved, were positioned by the brand as max cushion. But because they were holding on to, let me go grab that shoe. Boom, here we go. Because they were holding on to this old traditional CloudTec, and you can see how it differs from the CloudTec phase, and then putting that Speedboard up near the foot with the Rockcatcher 5000, it had a little bit of a firmer feel compared to these other max cushion shoes on the market. And so that's what the CloudTec or the Cloudeclipse is trying to do, offer a little bit more of a max cushion feel and a different experience, but bring the brand into the conversation for max cushion and for mileage building in a way that they were able to do with the Cloudmonster for daily trainers. So yes, this shoe would go up against some of those guys over there. Cloudmonster Hyper also goes up against some of those guys over there. All right, guys, hold up. A little fourth wall breaking moment here. And I wanted to leave a note for you all because, well, first reason, I kept saying this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. And I know we have some people who are blind who watch the channel. And also we have some folks who just prefer to listen instead of watch. So I'm holding the Cloudeclipse in my hand. When I was saying this guy and that guy, we were talking about 3 shoes over there: Hoka Skyward X, SC Trainer V2, it's blurry now, and the Asics Super Blast. And so that is the category of shoes that, let's go over there. And so these shoes, I'm holding the SC Trainer V2 in my hand now. This is the category of shoes that's designed to take the burden off the legs, offer a little bit of speed assistance, but is not designed to be super lightweight and go for all out speed. And as I was on my run, I forgot to say this in the wrap up, so I'm saying it now. We see that split in the market, right? Where all brands have these 2 shoes, and On is the brand that is probably doing it the cleanest right now, because Cloudmonster Hyper, right in the name. You got Hyper, and it has that PIBA. This is definitely the speed-oriented cushion shoe. And then Eclipse is more of that comfort-oriented with a little bit of pop. And then New Balance has the SC Trainer. And what I wanted to say earlier was the Balos is that shoe that would be going up against the Cloudmonster Hyper later this year when it comes out. And so On mileage building category, Cloudeclipse; Hoka in the mileage building category, Skyward X; Asics in the mileage building category, you got Super Blast; and then in fun speed training category, you have Hyper from On, the Balos coming out from New Balance, and the Mach X from Hoka. And then if we're thinking about some other brands, from Saucony, you have Speed 4 in that speed training category, and Convara Pro in mileage building. And then last one here would be Adidas. You would have Prime X Strung in that mileage building category, and Boston 12 in the speed training category. And of course, there's tons of overlap here, but I wanted to clarify that a little bit also, just because I kept saying that guy and this guy. Okay, back to the regularly scheduled programming. Cloudeclipse, baby, late night edition. But it also goes up against the traditional max cushion shoes. So Invincible here, coming in right in that same range, 308. This is a very soft shoe, nice, soft, fun, bouncy. I've enjoyed it so far. I don't have too many miles on it, but it's getting, every run I do in it brings it a little bit higher up on my favorite max cushion list. So next up here, Nova Blast 4. Let's throw this guy on the scale, 282. So that is pretty light. Nova Blast is positioned almost as a daily trainer by Asics, but it's got a ton of stack, a ton of protection. And this, in my last marathon training block through the last 1 or 2 months, this is my go-to for those relaxed days where I just wanted to get the legs moving. So this is an awesome pick for a little bit of a firmer feel with stability in a daily trainer. Also great for bigger runners. Now, this is the shoe that I have the most miles on in the past year. It is the New Balance 1080 V13, sitting at 300 miles. Still got lots of life left, but I've worn through the outsole here. And so this one is also decently light for a max cushion shoe, coming in at 286 grams, a little bit lighter than the Nova Blast Air, or a little bit heavier than the Nova Blast Air. And so this is my pick for a super soft shoe. If you want something to just cradle your feet in comfort, there's no better shoe on the market than the 1080. So I'm excited to see where the Cloudeclipse fits in with all of these shoes. On has a little bit of a hole. Until they dropped this shoe, they had a little bit of a hole in their lineup for shoes competing with the max cushion and the mileage builders. So let's lace these things up and see how they do. Oops, one more thing. We got to weigh the other shoe to do a little QA check. So this guy's coming at 302.5. That is very close. 302.5 and 301.5. Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. This is the closest a pair of shoes has come in weight since the New Balance SC Elite, which were the same exact weight. So good job, On. That is good QA right there. And that is one thing I should say about On. They do have a little bit of a price premium on their shoes, but all of their shoes are super well built. This guy has about, I think, 150 miles on it, and look at it. It looks brand new. So up there with Adidas for durability for me, and then also the build quality is just really strong. Decently comfortable shoes as well. Kobe. What do the kids say now? Tatum. Alright guys, plan for this morning is, again, 30 to 40 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. We'll see how it feels. The whole thing about this recovery week is I'm not going into it saying I need to hit a certain mileage goal. I just want to get back to feeling 100% again. And so we're probably, yesterday felt 85, 90%. There's some soreness, of course, in the quads, but feeling pretty good for being a few days off of the marathon. And of course, we had somebody commenting on the video yesterday that I should have shown you how to stick to the plan. Well, you know what, guys? In the words of Freddie Gibbs, I'm not your mentor or your role model. I just get out here and get these miles, and I'm not going to apologize for crushing some mileage. And that's what we do here on this channel. So the goal with the next few weeks is to rebuild, get back to 100, hopefully within, I don't know, I'm not going to put a timeline on it. I've studied the greats. I've studied Hansen, Higdon, Daniels, and now I get to experiment with my own training, which is great. That's the great thing about being self-coached and about having a love for the game. So that's what it's all about. So today, nice recovery run, 30 to 45 minutes in the Cloudeclipse. Now that these are fully laced up, let's do a little bit of a walk test. And they feel very stable. Like one of the most stable shoes I've had on in a long time. Not super squishy soft underfoot, but I think as we, let's see if we walk here, might get a little bit of a softer feel. Yeah, the heel is a little bit firmer, but super nice rocker for walking. I think this might go into my favorites for walking, just on step in, and of course we're gonna have to use it, but this feels like such a normal shoe, which is a quality I look for in a walking shoe. Does it feel just like a normal shoe I'd want to wear around? This feels very much like a sneaker you'd wear at a gym class, and even though it is 40 millimeters in the heel, it doesn't feel too tall. And then the upper feels very secure. This is giving me Cloud Stratus 2 vibes, which is a shoe that I love. That was the blue and orange one I showed you guys earlier, and I had a previous pair of those that I put over 200 miles on, so I think I have 300 to 400 miles on those shoes. So if this rides like a little bit of a softer, more rockered version of that, that would be awesome. All right, guys, so time to get in this run. Time to show you guys how to not stick to the plan. You know what? If I want to talk about this for 1 second. If I stuck to the plan, you know what I'd be doing? I'd be in the same job I was when I graduated college, miserable, probably 30 pounds overweight, still eating DoorDash every night. That's why we don't stick to the plan, baby. You got to roll with the punches, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You're going to get, man, you're going to get me ripping off a 6-mile half marathon pace run because I'm just jazzed. All right, let's get into it. It feels secure, but it also feels tight and loose at the same time. So I'm going to give this one more shot to make sure we get the right fit here. And man, they have all this flair on the lacing system with these little orange things. But I don't know, maybe I just didn't do it right. I didn't talk too much about the upper itself, but we do have, let's see, decent amount of padding out here in the back, and then, yeah, these elasticy little laces. I also like how on the Surfer and the Eclipse, they have the name on the tongue here. You can see. And the design language, it looks like a next-gen version of the Stratus 2 and 3. And that's the vibe it's giving me even out here on just this short walk and jog. And then last thing, let's let the laces flop for a second. That is not Supwell certified. But last thing, tongue is pretty thin. And the laces aren't the softest and stretchiest, but no bite because they are flat. All right, let's do it for real this time. This feels a little bit better. All right, there we go. Let's see. We did another 30 minutes today, 4 miles, 7:27 pace. I could have gotten 6, but I realized I have to finish up a deck for a presentation I have, and now I'm hoping to get a new partner for the channel, which would be cool. So anyway, initial thoughts on the Cloudeclipse, and I got to show you guys a few things. So that shoe right there, the bright orange one right there, SC Trainer V2. That's what this was giving me big vibes of at this relaxed, I wasn't super relaxed day, but at my normal aerobic pace, and completely different foam, but the rockers feel almost the exact same, and the stack height feels the exact same, and the amount of cushion I'm getting up in the forefoot feels the exact same. And even though this doesn't have a carbon plate and that super soft foam, the way that these pods are collapsing gives me a really similar feeling where it's not the most protective up in the forefoot. It's almost a little bit of ground feel. And second thing, I was right with my initial hunch that would feel a little bit like a built-up Cloud Stratus 2. It definitely feels softer than that shoe, but look at this shoe. And I didn't even do this on purpose, but I think this is the right angle. Yeah, look at the rocker on that shoe where you can see just the little bottom piece, just the middle is touching. The back is raised and the front is raised, and that's what made this such a fun shoe. It was on the heavier side at, I think, 310 grams for me, but I even did a 4-mile race in that shoe before I had a ton of racing shoes, and it performed really well. So this shoe is giving me vibes of those two, which are some of my favorite shoes in this mileage building category. So let me pop these off and we can do the full breakdown and discuss some of the things I also didn't like, as well as some more of the things that I really liked. So shoe untying, I think, is going to be my new time for announcements on the channel. So first announcement, as always, make sure to buy your new shoes through my Running Warehouse links, because that's the main way you can support the channel. Also, your positive comments are the second way you can support the channel, and watching every day and making funny jokes to people who leave negative comments. And then the other thing, what was the other announcement? Oh, the second announcement was, please, please, please keep submitting your shoe recommendations. I am creating a list of all the shoes that I haven't covered that you guys want me to cover. Cloudeclipse was on the list. I have another shoe sitting in a box up there in the office that's on the list, and I only got it because you guys requested it. So please submit your requests. I know we got the Rocket X2, and I'm hoping I can get that one in soon. Someone actually offered to send it to me, so I might make a little trade with my guy Brian. And then I think there's a few others that have been recommended. Convara Pro, I'm gonna see if I can somehow get that in. Buying shoes is expensive, and I don't get sent everything for free. I did get these ones sent for free actually, but I still gotta buy most of the shoes here. So let me know your recommendations. Buy your new shoes through Running Warehouse so that I can buy more shoes to cover, and I'll keep you posted on some more updates we're probably gonna have soon about different ways that you can support the channel other than just buying new shoes, because as I mentioned, I don't like that that's the only way you can support the channel. Oh, and the other way to support the channel is, if you don't like me or my videos, just unsubscribe. I might lose some subscribers from saying that, but I don't know if everyone knows that there's an option to just not watch. All right, full breakdown time, baby, let's go. Oh man, the bugs are just getting to us today. Look at this. This is where I usually put my camera. I don't know if you can see. It is just crawling with these fire ants, so I guess I'll just have to hose down the camera after. All right guys, so another 4-mile run today in the On Cloudeclipse, rebuilding this mileage, just getting the legs moving. And it's funny because my aerobic pace right now, I'm actually moving a little bit faster than I was before the marathon. I think because I took the mileage down. I've been now hovering around 7:15, 7:30 today and yesterday, versus before the race, I was crawling from 7:50 to 8:15 for my normal runs. But effort is feeling still a little bit higher, so we're gonna take it super easy for the next week or two. This is not the time, and I know I'm not a mentor or a role model. I didn't show you guys how to stick to the plan, but I can still tell you what's worked from my experience as a rogue cowboy out here in the running world. But what's worked for me is taking it easy, nice, relaxed miles. No, definitely not getting any faster than marathon pace for next week or so, and just taking it day by day. And that's why I decided to run yesterday. I felt good enough to run, and that's my general approach to life. I like to take it day by day. I don't really stick to a strict plan. But today on the schedule, On Cloudeclipse. And so the reason that I wanted to cover this shoe so much is because I love this category of max cushion shoes. I did my favorites last week. I showed some of them today. 1080 V13 was up there, SC Trainer V2, the Invincible 3 is, I don't have a ton of miles in that yet, but oh man. The mic was the wrong way again. I said I wasn't gonna do it, and then I did it again today, like yesterday. But max cushion shoes, some of my other favorites were Nova Blast, which we brought out, and of all those shoes, Cloudeclipse felt most similar to that SC Trainer V2, as I mentioned, because of this rocker geometry. And so that was the biggest thing that I got from this shoe, was how aggressive this rocker felt. And that was the main thing that I loved about the shoe. Any of these shoes where you get such an aggressive rocker make it really easy to run. And so thinking about comparing this to the Cloudmonster Hyper, this had a lot more of that rolling feeling than the Hyper. It didn't have much of that bounce up in the forefoot. It had more of that gentle pop off. And so this was actually a little bit of a softer ride than I anticipated, and softer than the Cloudmonster Hyper. And I think the way that they've laid out these CloudTec phase pods here is contributing to that. And that's also probably why they put this Speedboard on the bottom here to stabilize the platform so it's not super squirrely. So that's the good. I love the rolling. I love a little bit of that soft feel. The not so good, and I don't know if this is even a downside, but I did feel like because the shoe had such an aggressive rocker, it was putting me up on my toes. Subaru Forester. It was putting me up on my toes a little bit more than I had anticipated, and making me run probably a little bit faster than I had wanted to. And so in this max cushion category, maybe that's a positive, maybe that's a negative for you. I know some of you felt with the SC Trainer V2, it did the same thing, where maybe you had to run with a little bit more speed, maybe 15 to 20 seconds per mile faster than you would have on that recovery day. And so that is something to note about the shoe. At least out of the box, I felt like it was forcing me to drop the pace a little bit more, even though this is definitely not a speed training shoe. And then other thing that's maybe a little bit of a downside for some of you out there, not necessarily for me, but again, that ground feel up in the forefoot. I did feel more of that ground than I expected, probably because you have the holes in the pods here. It's not going to feel the most protective up in the forefoot. It's almost a similar feeling ride to Nike Vomero 17, which you have top layer there of that ZoomX, bottom layer of Cushlon. It compresses a ton underfoot. Almost same exact sensation you get here, where these pods compress a lot and give you a little bit more ground feel. So the positive of that is it is a little bit more nimble, and I think this shoe will be better for some speed work. For example, doing strides or doing light mile repeats or fartlek style efforts where you're not necessarily doing a prescribed interval training. You don't have a plan, you just go by feel, and based on a tree there, I'm gonna go sprint to this tree or run hard to this tree and jog to the next one. That style of workout, I think this would be a really fun shoe for that, while still giving you some protection, which is exactly what the SC Trainer V2 did for me. And then overall, in terms of comfort, this was a very comfortable shoe. The upper is nice and padded. I didn't have any issues with the heel locked down, feeling weird, or like my foot was moving around in the platform. And after I relaced the shoe, no issues whatsoever. I do think you might have to work with the lacing a little bit, especially, can you see, yeah, right up here, it's a unique style of lacing. It's similar to what they had on the Cloud Stratus, where in that shoe they actually sent the laces up to the top and then back down again. You don't get that in here, but it is a little unconventional with how wide it is at the bottom, so you might just need to work with it. But super comfortable. I'm probably gonna start using this as a walking shoe and general errand shoes so I can show all the moms at the park that I'm cool. I don't think they know what craft is, and I've been wearing my craft pacer around, so I need to up my parent cred out there at the playground in the burbs. And so other thing I wanted to mention, again, could be a downside for some people, is weight of the shoe at 300 grams, or I believe a little bit above 10 ounces. That's right up there with Nike Invincible, a little bit heavier than Nova Blast and 1080 V13. But unlike the Invincible, I didn't get as much bounce from the shoe because the foam here isn't a super high energy return foam where as soon as your foot hits the ground, it's gonna pop you back up. That's the sensation I got from the Skyward X because of the plate and the PIBA. That's what I get from the SC Trainer V2 because of the plate and that supercritical TPU EVA blend. And then that's also what I get from the Nike Invincible 3 because of that foam. So this foam isn't as bouncy, and because it has the same weight as the Invincible 3, at times I felt, maybe if I were doing some faster running in the shoe, I'd want a little bit of a lighter weight shoe, but that's not exactly what this thing is gonna be best for. Then in terms of foot strike, great choice here for heel strikers. Look how much protection we have, and we do get that little bit of foam hanging off the back, the caboose of the shoe, so when you're landing on the heel, it is gonna roll you forward. And so 5-6 millimeter drop, it felt just as good as that higher drop shoe for a heel striker because you do get that additional foam in the back. And look at this, guys, I'm noticing something funny here. Can you see right there? I don't know if you can see, but there is a thumbprint in the midsole foam right there. Wild. So I'm excited to get some more miles in this. I really want to get my mileage back up so I can start crushing longer runs, double days. This seems like it's going to be a really fun option for double days because it has a little bit of that dual character where if you're landing on the back, it's a little bit more relaxed, and then as you roll through the stride, land on the front, you get a little bit more of that pop and speed. So all right, guys, that is all I have for you today, unless I hit you with the one more thing after this. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video. You being silly? All right, guys, so one more thing. Cloudmonster. We need to discuss this when I get back to the office. It's very serious business. All right, guys, it is 4:10. Brought the kids home from the park, and now they're doing shenanigans on scooters and trikes. But welcome back to another episode of One More Thing. And I felt this video was incomplete as I've been gallivanting around town in my Cloudmonster. Now, I'll usually use these here, or the Ghost Max, or the Craft Pacer is a new one that's come into my rotation for everyday walking stuff. And as I've been wearing these, I was noticing they feel extremely similar to the Cloudeclipse. As in, so similar walking around that I'm not sure exactly what the differences are between these two shoes and why they both exist in the On lineup. So we're gonna have to get some more miles in the Cloudeclipse to understand what that's all about and what the differences are. But let me just put the Cloudeclipse on and the Cloudmonster because I want to do a little bit of a test here to see what those differences are. And so walking, okay, now we can see a little bit more of the difference. And I didn't even lace these both up, but Cloudmonster, and Cloudmonster has a lot more miles on it, but it feels a little bit softer, which is weird because I know Cloudeclipse is supposed to be softer. But just standing, what's up? Cloudeclipse is a bit higher off the ground, a bit more structured feeling. Cloudmonster, I'm getting even a little bit more of that ground coming through and a little bit more flexibility. All right, so lacing them up here, yeah, Cloudeclipse definitely feels a little bit higher off the ground, a little bit more protective. Now, we're comparing a brand new shoe. Mike goes backwards again, but we're comparing a brand new shoe to one with 200 plus miles on it, but still much higher up. Also, I don't know, I think the last of these are really similar, but the upper fit of the Cloudmonster, it feels like it's a little bit more flexible or just molds to my foot a tiny bit better. Maybe that's because it's broken in, but Cloudeclipse, as you saw, I had to re-tie it earlier today, so it wasn't the most natural fitting shoe right out of the box. And in terms of looks, these are both pretty sweet, but in this colorway, the Eclipse here is a little bit more low-key. You can see the Monster, they went with this gigantic logo, the gigantic pods, and you can see it's really sad and compressed here. That's why it doesn't feel as supportive, but this is overall a little bit flashier shoe. This is more low-key. So yeah, I'm gonna need to get some more miles in this Cloudeclipse to really tell, but as of now, just walking around here, it seems like you get a little bit more forward directed motion with the CloudTec phase, whereas in the Monster, it's more of that vertical compression, and then upper fit a little bit different. You get more padding in the Eclipse. I also think it's a touch heavier shoe. Maybe I'll throw them on the scale here, but very similar. I think if you like the Cloudmonster, you'll like the Eclipse. So I'm gonna need to get some more miles to tell, even on foot now. Scratching my head just a little bit. If you've tried both of these, let me know what are the big differences in how you use them. All right, I think that's it. Maybe I'll do a little weigh-in with both of them. Maybe I won't. I'll see you guys tomorrow or later. Oh, by the way, and I'm back already, I found this new non-alcoholic beer. It's from Sierra Nevada. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Athletic. This one is called Trail Pass IPA, so I've been trying it out. It's actually pretty solid. So if you like Athletic, give this guy a try. Sierra Nevada Trail Pass. One sip, everybody knows the rules. Crisp, malty, slight hint of grapefruit and citrus.